Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 478 of Screw the Commute podcast. Today we're going to talk about my web development method. Now, it's not the only method. It's something I just made up out of my head over the 27 years I've been doing this, but it's worked very well for me and my students, so you might want to pay attention to it. All right. Hope you didn't miss episode 477. That was another Ask Me a Question. And I talked about, quotation marks in searching for stuff, the dangerous concept of front running. If you don't know what that is, you better listen to that episode. Automation techniques, cross-browser testing, the perils of underlining, voicemail on your website, and title tags. So make sure you catch that episode 477. And anytime you want to find a back episode, you just go screwthecommute.com/the episode number 477. All right, how would you like me to send you big checks? Well, I'd love to, or PayPal, or gold bullion, or I don't know, silver, whatever you want. But we pay big commissions for referring my stuff. So if you're interested, email me at tom@screwthecommute.com, and we'll give you the details. Now, grab a copy of our automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And just one of the tips in this book has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. And we actually estimated it. That was about 2 years ago. So it's way more than that now. I still use some of the tips in this book every single day. And almost all of them I use occasionally, but it just saves me a fortune in time. All right, let's see. Grab a copy of our podcast app too at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, where you can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. And we have videos that teach you how to use it, so we don't leave you hanging like a lot of apps do. You got to figure it out. No, we show you step by step. All right, please help me out with this big legacy program, this pilot program I'm doing with persons with disabilities. I'm learning so much. Like all morning, I've been learning how to make a Word document accessible to people. This is becoming a big issue, lawsuits being filed, and we've been working on it for a couple years, actually. It was started when they started bringing out plugins to help you be accessible, but most of the top people say, well, that doesn't quite cut it. So I'm learning all this stuff. I'll probably do an episode about it in the future. But anyway, I need your help. I want to get these people trained and hired or in their own business. And then I want to roll it out really big to help loads and loads of people. But I need your help for this pilot program. So check it out at imtcva.org/disabilities, the plural version of disability. Click at the top of the page. Of course, this is going to be in the show notes. You don't have to memorize all this stuff. And you'll see the GoFundMe account, and you'll see updates. You'll see this guy just put a video up yesterday. I mean, he's a 2500 vision. He couldn't even see the video camera that he was shooting the video on. Okay. So this guy's very inspirational. We're helping him get through the school. There's a couple others we got going. We'll give you more updates on them in the future. So check it out, and anything you can contribute, we really appreciate. And if you're really flush, you could sponsor a person yourself. Wow, what a great thing that would be for your life and your karma bank account. Okay. All right. Let's get into the main event. This is my method on developing websites. It kind of starts on a paper tablet and some thought. It does not start with hiring a web designer. In fact, most of it, if you do what I teach you, would not involve a web designer at all. Okay, so that's a whole different episode. I'll talk about that a little bit later, of the value of you learning how to do some of this stuff and think this stuff out yourself. All right, so let's get into the basics of developing a website. So the first thing I do is get a tablet. I'm talking a paper tablet where you can just write and draw out things. And not necessarily the graphical look of the pages, but a home page, what other subpages that you think you need. Then I think about the navigation. This is all thinking at this point, folks. This isn't hiring anybody, buying web hosting, nothing. This is thinking. See, most people don't think anymore what they want to accomplish with these things. So I think about the navigation. Now, the rules that I set with my students when we're going through this process is that they get 5 navigation buttons, and one of them is about, and one of them is contact. So that leaves 3. All they have to work with is 3. And they're like, I can't do that. What are you talking about? I got all this stuff. No, you get 5 navigation buttons, about and contact included in that, you get 3. And what this does is it forces them to think about the most important things on their website, where they want people to go. What are the most profitable things they want to lead people to? What should people see first? And then what should they click to and see next in some logical fashion? You got to think these things out, see? Then I have them survey other websites in their field. And we note down their navigation and what features they have. Do they have an email sign up? Do they have pop-up boxes? And I try to tell them limit these to the first 10 or 20 results in Google, because these people that get high rankings are obviously doing something right to come up that high. And now there's lots of other factors that contribute to that, but this just all goes into the thought and development of the site. I mean, what kind of features on those sites please Google? And they probably, if they please Google, please the visitor too, because Google has made a big deal of that in the past few years, that they don't want you playing to them, trying to beat them. They want you to really please the visitor. So if those people are up high in the rankings, chances are they're also pleasing the visitor. And also another ranking factor when you're found in the search engine is time on site. So the longer a person is on your site, it sends a message to the search engines, oh, it must be a pretty good site. It's what the person wanted, and they're staying on longer. All right, so you got to, all those things play into it. Of course, inbound links and all kinds of things go into ranking factors. But if a visitor comes there and doesn't bounce all of a sudden, that's called your bounce rate, then they must have liked what was on the site and they stayed a little longer. So that reduced the bounce rate somewhat. And like I said, the search engines see all of this. They're kind of like the Wizard of Oz, you know, they know all, see all. So you want to see what everybody else is doing. And if there's a trend that they're following, and then you have to decide, do I want to buck the trend or go along with it? And it's not always a great idea to buck the trend. Sometimes that's the greatest thing in the world, to buck the trend, but sometimes it isn't. You have to make those decisions. But if you want to be found on the search engines and you want people to stay longer, you probably want to keep them with what we call comfortable. They're familiar with this kind of site. They're just trying to see how you're different and maybe than the other person. But you really can't plaster the homepage full of text, because, and I don't know if this is mean or not, but I just try to tell the truth. People are morons, right? And the generations that coming up can hardly read. I mean, did you see that? I think it was in Oregon or somewhere. The mayor passed this, or mayor or governor maybe, passed this thing where kids don't have to even read and write to get a high school diploma. Are you kidding me? So this means that people are getting dumber, and it's happening. Now, you can fight this for your own kids, and I hope you are, but if they're pulling that kind of crap in the country and getting away with it, well, those people are going to grow up and can't really read very well. So you have to think about graphics that tell your story. There's one thing called an infographic that's mostly graphics with a little bit of text. It's not really heavy on text. So you use headlines and bullet points. But I'll tell you, heavy text is on its way out, or you have to lead people with clicks deeper into your site where they're more committed and they do want to learn more. And that's where you can put the heavy text. And besides that, people get eye strain and headaches because there's so much screen time nowadays. So if the more you make them squint and look and read heavy text, you're in trouble. And then heavy text fills up the whole screen on cell phones and tablets where people are more than half of the time nowadays. So sometimes it's two screens that fills up. Well, people look at that, they hold their cell phone up, say, oh my God, that's too hard to read. And then they skip it. That's just the way it is. So you want to tell them all how great you are and all the little things you do for them and all the wonderful, unique processes you've invented. Well, guess what? Nobody's going to read it right off the bat, at least. And testimonials are the same way. People put these testimonials that are 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, and nobody, I'm saying nobody, is ever going to read it. In fact, don't put a testimonial navigation button up there. Nobody reads them because they know you're just bragging about yourself. The best practice with testimonials is to make a testimonial that reinforces what you just claimed you could do. So somebody else is saying, yeah, that's right. They helped me with X, Y, and Z. You may have the authority, well, maybe not the authority, but you certainly have the ability to pare down testimonials. I mean, the people that gave them to you probably love you, and as long as you didn't change the nature of what they said, you can edit them down for clarity. You can pick out the best things that they said and highlight them. And now you really should listen to episode, I think it's 312 and 313 on readability and usability, or usability and readability. There's 2 different episodes, but they will really help. And this is all long before you ever get your, start working on your website, actually. You're thinking right now, thinking it through. Most people don't think, slap something up, spend a fortune, and hear the crickets chirp. Well, I don't want that happening to you. Okay. So anyway, that was screwthecommute.com/312, screwthecommute.com/313, I believe it, or 313, 314, one or the other. All right, now let's get into your domain name. And then you have to consider, I mean, there's some rules on that were different than they were in the old days. First of all, no dashes in your domain name. Never, ever, ever. Now, I know some of you that have older websites probably have a dash in there somewhere. Well, the longevity of the site, I wouldn't throw it away, put it that way. I would probably adapt it or click to your new site from the old site. But from a new site, you never put a dash in anymore. That's just totally out. That's been out for years and years and years. You can do it, but it's just a dumb idea to do it. And then, I'm a big proponent, if you've been listening to me, about keywords and keyword research. Well, in the old days, keywords in your domain name were critical for search positioning. Now, people have abused it so much, it doesn't really matter for search positioning. However, it does matter from the people's point of view, the visitor's point of view. So let's say you were looking for archery stuff and you saw a site that says Joe's Enterprises, or you saw a site and Joe's Enterprises sells all archery stuff. But then you saw another site that said archery supplies are us. Which one are you going to click on? It's common sense. You're going to pick the one that said what you were looking for. So keywords in your domain do mean a lot. It's just that not from the search engine perspective, it's from the visitor's perspective. Now, you can put your name if you want to build yourself up as a brand. I have Antion.com, TomAntion.com just forwards to it. And so that's my speaker website. But you can't find my name on the main parts of any of my other domains. I mean, I think Colin bought Tom Antion World for me a long time ago or something like that, but I don't push any of that. I push what I'm able to do for you, like brutal self-defense. I'm not known or haven't been on the cover of Black Belt magazine, but I'm pretty substantial in my abilities. So I made a site, Brutal Self-Defense. Fatso Tennis is another thing. I'm no tennis pro or anything, but I'm a big guy. I'm the largest guy ever to star in a tennis training video. and but the tennis in the Fatso concept, or out of shape concept, is what I'm pushing forward, not the fact that it's Tom Antion. Nobody knows me in the tennis world. They probably don't want to. And if you do your name, here's what you got to think about, what they call exit strategies. If you ever want to sell your business, then there's a lot of controversy about this. If you use your name, then people that want to buy the business might think, oh, hey, if you leave, all the business will go with you. So a lot of people don't use their name as the name of the business so that they can sell it in the future. So you got to figure all that out. All right, let's talk about graphics. Now, I see this all the time too. I go to critique a website, and there's some gigantic picture of an open field with one tree sitting out in the middle. And the site could be about knitting. I don't know. It could be. Anyway, I asked the website owner, what is this field and tree? Why is that there? Oh, and then they go into this long spiel about how, it's individuality, and that one tree standing out there is a lightning or a beacon of hope. All this crap that's only in their mind. It never gets past their ears. It's in their head. So no, you got to make graphics that make sense for what you're doing. Don't put just something and you got this goofy idea. I mean, it might be a brilliant idea. It's just that nobody on earth is going to know about it just by visiting your website and seeing some stupid picture, okay? So think it out of what graphics match what you're talking about. Now, another thing is a tagline. You should think up a tagline so that when people hit your site, they instantly know, should I be here or should I not be here? And if they should not be here, you might as well let them go. Just let them bounce. That's why bounce rates aren't as critical as you might think. When you see a high bounce rate of 80% or 85 or 90%. I don't really care about that. The search engines care a little bit, but it's not that big of a rating factor, because I want that whatever percentage is left, I want them to instantly recognize they're at the right place and then buy stuff. The worst thing in the world is if a good prospect hits your site and they can't quite tell if you have what they're looking for, and they say, I'm going to go find something easier. No, that's the kiss of death. So don't worry about bounce rates. Worry about making sure people know, should they be here or not. An example on the tennis site is Fatso Tennis, the site for overweight and out-of-shape people who love tennis. All right, so if you're a tennis snob with a 5.0 rating and you beat everybody in the state, well, you don't want to be here. The only reason you'd be here is to make fun of me because you're a tennis snob, or you want to send the DVD and send it to one of your competitors to mess with them, or, or as a gag gift. But most of the time, those tennis snobs want nothing to do with me. That one of the big tennis warehouse wouldn't carry my beautifully created 2 DVD set. They wouldn't. They're tennis snobs. I get it. But we sell them directly to people that say, oh, yeah, I'm overweight, out of shape, and I love tennis. This guy's going to give me tips to beat the little whippersnapper at the club that keeps beating me. So that's called a tagline. Think up something that makes sense so that the person you're trying to attract instantly knows they're at the right place. All right, your homepage. I'm not really in favor of these forever scrolling home pages. Yeah, they look cool, but here's the problem. And again, I'm not a big fan of SEO. You've seen me on other episodes talk about the basics of SEO, which I just did recently, because I don't want you to shoot yourself in the foot. But part of your ranking with the search engines is that your site is substantial. In fact, in other words, a lot of pages. Now, I'm not talking about a lot of gratuitous pages with nothing on them, like we used to do way back 20 years ago. That was a technique we used to beat the search engines, but that's been gone for 15 years at least. So when you make a long homepage that I got to scroll 10 minutes to look at all the stuff, that could have been 20 pages on your site to make it look more substantial. And another factor you got to worry about is overwhelming the visitor. See, with all this text, all these graphics, just smacking them in the face forever and ever and ever. They never have to interact with it. They just, you want them to be able to click and go deeper. That's more of a commitment on their side, that they really care and want to see what you're talking about. And also, it lets them pick what they want to see. You might have a lot of different things you do. Well, it lets them pick what they want to do rather than scroll for, and just get overwhelmed. Now, something you can use, once you get the site up, you're going to make adjustments to it, yes. And what you can do is start somewhere where you've really thought this out. And then there's programs. There used to be one called ClickTales. That's Tales. And it would show you all the links on your page and what percentage of people clicked on them. And it would also give you a heat map to show you where people spent the time on your page. Now, there's lots of these programs out there now. Mostly the good ones are paid now. ClickTales was free, but I think it's gone or it's paid now. So this really tells you so that you can make adjustments in your site later. And I was telling you about the navigation. Yeah, a lot of my students end up with more than 5, but the exercise I put them through forced them to really think. And was my goal, not just to limit them to 5. And then you can change them. If you find out that people aren't responding, if you use like something like ClickTales and you see nobody's clicking on a certain navigation link, well, they don't want that. So change the name of the link to something else, or, put a different topic up there. And one thing I forgot to mention, I wanted to mention is just a little terminology thing, because I get people saying stuff and I'm trying to think, what are you talking about? The terminology is incorrect. So just so you know, your basic .com or .whatever is called a TLD, top level domain. And then subpages in your site, that's your URL. I think it stands for Uniform Resource Locator. That's like your top level domain / and then the path to go into your actual page in your site. So again, you want to think all these things out. The navigation, where is it going to click to? You got to think logically, what are the things that they should see first about me and second and third? But please, I'm begging you, don't bury them in deep text right off the bat. We call this glanceable marketing. This is a term that came around in the last couple years so that people really know quickly what's going on, and it kind of sucks them in because it was easy and it was interesting. And then they click deeper, and then you can get more detailed about what you have to offer, and let them click their way through it, to it, because that is their commitment. That's their engagement with the site. And then these changes I'm talking about. I have quite a disdain for people that just will not get their fingers dirty and learn how to do this themselves. I mean, you can literally get a kid from kindergarten, wake him up from his nap and get him to help you on this stuff now. It's that easy. But people have been sucked in by these idiots on stage that just say, oh, you should delegate everything. Only do what you love. And my standard answer to that is, if what you're good at and what you love is making you broke, maybe you should rethink that idea. How about that? Yeah, learn how to do stuff, because as you develop this website, it's not going to be perfect right off the bat. We're taking an educated guess to start with. That's what we're doing. Most people just slop it up there. They don't even do the educated guess route. So we're taking an educated guess, going to get it up there in front of real people, and then we're going to evaluate it and make changes. The problem is these changes take forever and cost a fortune if you're hiring somebody else to do it, unless they're in your office under your you're already paying them and they're good at this and they can make the change instantly. No, you're just going to blow a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of opportunities. So back when I did a lot of radio instead of podcast interviews, they'd have a guest at the last minute, maybe not last minute, but an hour or so cancel on them. And so they needed to fill the time slot. So I was known as a really good interview, so they'd call me up all the time. Some congressman blew them off, and then they'd call me to fill in. So I would throw up a web page instantly with their call letters at the top and an opt-in form and a freebie. And then I get on the radio interview and then give away the freebie, and they go to my website, which you want to have a very easy to say URL. Usually it was the call letters of the station. And I can't tell you how many, I've got loads and loads of subscribers. I can't tell you how many thousands of them came from that method. Being able to put up a web page and then using publicity to drive people to the page, give them a freebie, and now some of them been on the list 15 years. Okay, and buying stuff the whole time. So yes, but that opportunity would have been missed had I had to call a web designer, wait for a couple days, and it would just be blown. So you lose opportunity cost, they call it. So basically the idea is write things out on a tablet, and all of these things will cost you nothing to think through. And one more, I forgot something I want to tell you about graphics. I get these branding people to get people so worked up about their color schemes and this, that, and the other. And they want their website to match their $5,000 brochure kit that they just made up. Well, you could go down to Best Buy, pull their website up on 5 different computers, and it'll look different on every one of them. No, you don't. That's just a waste of time and money. See, on the printed stuff, you have PMS colors, and that's not, that's an ink thing. that has nothing to do with anybody's monthly cycle. But PMS colors are going to look exact, but they do not translate to web screens and all the different devices people are looking on, and Mac and PC and the operating systems, Linux, and all the different browsers, Safari. So you are totally wasting your money doing that. Now, I'm not against color schemes and you should look up, in your thinking process, if you don't have a colored brand already, then one thing you should do is find the closest, what they call web-safe color. Now, I'm not sure how current that is with all the new HTML5 coming out and all the new stuff, but it's definitely safe that you have a color that's going to render correctly on even older browsers. So think about that, but don't try to make it so exact that you pull your hair out and try to spend a fortune with people making it exact when it ain't ever going to be exact, no matter what they tell you. Okay, so don't spend any money on that. You're just wasting your time. And I'm perfectly happy if your color scheme matches your brochures and your brand. That's fine. Just don't make it look like a circus tent with all kinds of crazy colors, and unless that's your shtick, that's fine. But think it out, but don't get whacked out over it, because it ain't going to look the same on all kinds of different computers. But I still do recommend you look up the meaning of colors, because a lot of colors have a psychological meaning to them. And there's plenty of information on there if you're starting with no brand colors, or maybe you find your brand colors are off-putting to your market. So maybe you change them. But all of this is thought out before you ever put the website up or buy the social media or do anything. Not buy, but I mean, grab the names of your social media accounts. Think it out. Think. And while you're thinking, think about how great it would feel to help out my people, my persons with disabilities. See how wasn't that smooth the way I segued there? Anyway, I really want your help, and you're going to feel really great about it when you see the progress these people are making. they're going to be able to legitimately learn from home, legitimately be hired or start their own business from home. That's my goal. Very simple, but boy, do they need it. And like I said, I'm learning a lot about accessibility. And, we have a totally blind person that can only see a little bit of light. We have a blind person that's 2,500, got juvenile macular degeneration. We have another lady that's really got a lot of physical problems. And we have two more folks still coming. So give it a shot there at imtcva.org/disabilities. That's my school website. When you go there, click on the GoFundMe campaign. Anything you contribute is great. Please leave a comment, share it like crazy, and you'll really be doing good to help change these people's lives. All right, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Go out there and develop that web on a tablet, and you'll be way further ahead and spend way less money. All right, we'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.